Marvel's Midnight Suns, first impressions by SkillUP, my favorite YouTuber. I'm gonna get real heated talking about this because I love Firaxis, the developers of XCOM 1 and 2. I love XCOM 1 and 2. Two of the best games ever made. I love strategy games. XCOM 1 and 2 are, in my opinion, like 9.5s out of 10. And then you've got other games like Phoenix Point? Yeah, Phoenix Point, Phantom Brigade, that kind of took some things from that and changed them a little bit. Gears Tactics, I think, was actually better than XCOM 1 and 2. They took what they did and expanded on it the same way Phoenix Project or Phoenix Point, one of the two, did. But what Firaxis have done with Marvel Midnight Suns is take a step backwards so large that I cannot believe. Let's start the video and I will show you what I'm talking about.
And really not what I expected. This is a bit of a weird one, let me tell you. So, I was genuinely expecting XCOM with Marvel characters.
That is exactly what I thought this was going to be.
In case you don't know, this is from Firaxis, makers of XCOM, and it's directed by Jake Solomon, who is the director of the XCOM games. So you combine that studio with that director, and you see this gameplay, and it's turn-based tactics thing, and you think, oh, XCOM with Marvel, right? No, actually, definitely not. So, Midnight Suns is actually two games. The first one is the turn-based tactics game you'd expect from this studio, but a very remixed formula versus XCOM. I was on a call with Jake Solomon actually, and he said that the percent to hit or miss stuff that was the bedrock of XCOM's combat model didn't work for superheroes because superheroes don't miss.
I was waiting for him to say that. I think that's a really, really stupid take. The idea that you can't have percentage-based hits on superheroes or for superheroes because superheroes don't miss, I think is a pretty poor take. I just... It would have... I don't know exactly what I would have wanted in its place. I would have probably said, keep the percentage-based combat in the game, but have different modifiers for different enemy types. Meaning, let's say you are Quicksilver, you've got Quicksilver and Iron Man. Quicksilver is way quicker, it's in the name. He goes to punch an enemy, his chance of missing a melee attack is way, way lower than Iron Man's, because he can move quicker than his enemy can, unless his enemy is superpowered, in which case he has a 50-50, you know, and add in dodges. That's what I would have done. I would have added a dodge system for enemies and dodge animations so it flows better. Dude, I've actually got the perfect game that I can show you. Oh man, it's so, like, I'm so frustrated on so many levels, I can't even get all my thoughts out, but the idea of removing the percentage-based combat system, for me, it's a really poor idea, especially because that's what the previous games were built on. Now, SkillUP does say that he likes the new system. Let's hear him talk about it.
So a new chance-based model has been introduced in the form of cards, which each represent abilities and are drawn from a deck. They are the zhuzh that pushes combat into strategic, on-the-fly decision-making. There are a lot of other changes to the combat model, but that is the main one, and that already sets it far apart from XCOM. The other game that exists within Midnight Suns is kind of like Fire Emblem. There is a home base called the Abbey. All of the heroes on your roster hang out there. There is a day-night cycle, and each day you have to choose who you spend time with to deepen your relationship with them. You can watch a movie with Blade and read by the fireplace with Captain Marvel and have a drink with Nico or spar in the training grounds with Ghost Rider or whatever.
This is such... I mean, first of all, can we acknowledge just for a split second that when we see this character running around, it looks like a 2012 demo for an Xbox 360 game. The animation is so poor. Everything, there's no weight to the movement. There's no fluidity in it. Like, he turns around and he kind of just spins on the spot a little bit, and The clothing doesn't move. The clothing, the t-shirt, the jeans are glued to him, man. The hair is completely static. And for some reason, there's a band around his neck, which just makes it look like they've got it there in order to cover up the seam in the texture between the head and the body. This is terrible. This is some of the worst animation I've seen in a AAA game in so long.
And each day you have to choose with Nico or spar in the training grounds with Ghost Rider or whatever. These actions all bring you closer to your teammates or further apart if you say things they don't like. Becoming closer with them increases their performance in combat by unlocking new bonuses, new abilities, and new team-up combos.
Dude, forcing players to interact with the characters outside of the combat in order to further buff their attacks in combat or defenses or buffs sucks. This sucks. I am so unbelievably frustrated. And I'm gonna, you know what? I think I need to show you this now. What is the name? I think it's Beneath Oresa. Let me show you this. Beneath Oresa. Let's play some music. Let me show you the combat of Beneath Oresa, right? Let's go for this one here. We'll mute it, and then you'll get to see how the card combat in this game works. And this is what I would have expected from a AAA studio. So much like Marvel's Midnight Suns, you have cards. But the difference in the combat is this. When you play a card, let's see here. Oh, when you play a card, an actual animation happens, right? And at the end of the animation, things slow down. Way down. So the animation and combat look like an actual fluid fight, but with card combat. Now, if you wait too long in between card plays, then your character will just go back to normal time and stand there holding the sword. But let me quickly show you. Let me quickly show you this. Have a look at this. This is a card game. Plays one card, plays another, it goes into super slow motion, plays another, that character dies, the camera whips round to aim at the next guy, and then you're standing there waiting for the next card to play. This is a phenomenal, and I think groundbreaking card combat evolution, at least in terms of animation. This is phenomenal. There are actual blocks that play out. The card system in this game is fantastic. If you've never seen Beneath Oresa, I highly recommend you go and support it. I think it's still in early access. It is actually still in early access. They've got more characters and more cards and decks that they're working on right now. It's a roguelike, get to the end of 3 different sections and you win. But it is really good. And that slow motion at the end is so good. Having actual blocks, they've got a full counter system, and this is the type of this is what they've developed as a small indie studio, mind you. This is not a AAA company that has only managed to develop
bonuses, new abilities, and new team-up combos.
That was really cool, but I think we'd all be lying to ourselves if we didn't say that the whole background changing was because it's easier to block out the background than it is to have this animation play in the environment that they're in. I don't think this was made like this to look cool. I would be surprised.
This relationship side of the game is not a small diversion, by the way. I reckon nearly half of my playtime thus far has been spent outside of combat, talking to people, exploring the Abbey grounds, crafting items, completing side quests in the Abbey, preparing for the next combat engagement. It's a huge portion of the experience, and yeah, I'll tell you that right off the top, 10 hours in, I'm really enjoying the combat side of this game. I think some people will miss the militaristic and tactical trappings of XCOM, which is fine.
I will.
I do think this is a little more approachable, and I think the cards is a level of randomness that some people just aren't going to be able to stomach. But for me, it's totally working, and I am always keen to get back into the next battle.
This is I am very surprised that SkillUp or Ralph enjoyed this. I'll call him SkillUp. I'm really surprised that he enjoyed this because I look at this combat and the vast majority of it, if I just quickly mute this here, the vast majority of it looks to be get in a position where you can knock someone into someone or knock someone into something or knock something into someone. It doesn't, I mean, from what I've seen, and I've seen this whole video already, it doesn't look like there's anything else to this, which is really, like, I mean, every single clip that I've seen in this seems to be that, unless it's some kind of combo between two characters. Kill one character, knock them into another.
This comes from the fact that I'm really not enjoying the other side of the game to this point. So much of this is about building relationships with these characters, but I'm not finding any of them particularly compelling. They all seem written with the same voice, like Blade is kind of a cuddly teddy bear almost, and Iron Man and Doctor Strange are kind of watered down facsimiles of their MCU counterparts. I've had hours worth of conversations that don't really seem to say anything or go anywhere. That part is not clicking for me, and it's essential to go through all this stuff because if you skip it, you will fall behind in the power curve because so many powerful upgrades come from building those relationships with your team.
The thing that's really shocking to me about the story being so poor is that Guardians of the Galaxy, not the Telltale one, the most recent one that released from Square Enix, if you haven't played it, I can't recommend it enough. It is my second... I think it's my second place game of all time. Of all time. My favorite game of all time being Death Stranding, which was an experience both in story and gameplay like no other. There are no comparisons. But Guardians of the Galaxy, despite the combat in it being fairly poor, and if you haven't played it before and you're going to, I can't recommend this enough, put the game on easy. Having the game on normal or hard mode just makes enemies more spongy, and the combat isn't good enough to hold up that sponginess. The combat is something you kind of just have to get through most of the time. Don't get me wrong, it's not the worst combat ever, but it's definitely not great. Put it on easy so you feel more powerful. I've seen one or two other people recommend doing the same thing, and I definitely recommend it. But the story of that game, the characters, the world building, and the environments, but more so the story and the characters, were unbelievable. To the point that I think it was a week or 2 weeks after I finished Guardians of the Galaxy, I was sitting on the sofa with my lady watching something. I just turned to her and said, you know what, this is bizarre, and I can't explain this, but I miss the characters from Guardians of the Galaxy, the game. I missed them. Like, they were my crew. I had a full experience with them over the course of, I think it was a week I played it, or maybe somewhere between 4 to 7 days I played it. And I just, there's very few games that have ever, had that effect on me, but my God. And then to go from that to what I'm hearing now from SkillUp about Marvel's Midnight Suns, this is disappointing, dude. And hey, Roy, how's it going, man? How are things?
There are also some technical issues here. I can't really maintain a...
This part blew my mind, but this is Firaxis all over. All over.
Solid frame rate when playing on an RTX 4090, and this is not a particularly good-looking game. It runs well enough on Steam Deck, funnily enough, but yeah, high-end rigs don't seem to really like this game very much, at least.
Dude, he's got a 4090 and cannot maintain a steady frame rate. I remember what XCOM 2 was like on release. My God, it was bad.
At this point. But look, let me just say this. At the top level, I am definitely enjoying this. I really...
Again, here's another clip of combat. He's doing a move to hit an enemy into another enemy. The reason that most of the combat does seem to be like this, where you kick an enemy into another enemy, an enemy into an object, or an object into an enemy, is that there's no cover system, and you can pretty much run wherever you want in this game. It's
really am. Even as I write this preview, I'm keen to get back to it because I'm just vibing with the combat that much. I really do love it. I think they've nailed it. And so that's already enough for me. But when I'm out of combat, I'm not having a great time. And given how much time I spend out of combat, I do think that is a problem that many may struggle to get past.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it looks really cool.
Marvel's Midnight Suns.
Right, I'll leave it there because I don't want to watch the full thing through again, and I've said pretty much everything I've got to say on it. If you do want to watch the full thing, Marvel's Midnight Suns has great combat, the rest I'm not so sure, by SkillUP. I cannot, in fact I'll open that a little bit so you can see. How come I can't see the name there? By SkillUP, there it is. I cannot recommend him enough. He is the best reviewer on YouTube. I just want to reiterate what I said. I am shocked that they didn't just make XCOM with Marvel. I would have loved that. I would have loved that with better animation, which is the only thing I would have asked for, was better animation. When a hero goes into punch, I want to see it happen in slow motion. I want to see the enemy dodge, and I just want time to pause before they take their turn. Pauses for a second while they make their decisions. Then the enemies, you know, react, and then more animations play out. Because they dodged, they've got the option to counter. So then, after they've dodged, they come up for the uppercut. Time pauses. And after the pause, as they're mid, you know, you can go, okay, defend, where you'll try and move your hand in front of a punch. Maybe you'll be able to block it or not. Maybe this is a little bit too in-depth, but something like that I would have loved. But moving over to a card system, I think I'll have to play it to really decide whether or not I like it. I love card games. I like Slay the Spire, Beneath Eraser, I showed, and there's a couple others I can't remember off the top of my head, but I do enjoy a card game. Like, I really do. The amount of hours I put into, what's it called? Slay the Spire, it's crazy. Both on mobile and on PC. I love that game. And I love tactics games like XCOM 1, 2, Gears Tactics, Gears of War Tactics? Can't remember what it was called. Phantom Brigade, Phoenix Point. I love these games. This seems to be trying to blend the two, and they've not expanded on on the combat from the looks of things enough for me. I don't want to spend, by the way, they've said it's going to be between a 40 to 60 hour game. I don't want to spend 40 to 60 hours kicking an enemy into an enemy, or an enemy into an object, or an object into an enemy. I so hope there's more to it than that. But he's played this for 10 hours at this point, and he never talks about the combat being any more than that. And all the clips kind of only really show that. I mean, even 19 minutes into this video, the clips we're getting are, what's her name? I can't remember what her name is. The one with the portals, and they made that Magic, that's it. They made that terrible movie. Hits him into a portal, comes out the other portal, into an object. This is all the combat seems to be. I'm super disappointed that this is what's coming. I waited years, dude. I signed up, dude. I don't sign up for newsletters. I signed up for the newsletter for this game, excited. Maybe I'm being negative, but maybe I hyped myself up too much for it. I don't know. But I guess we'll see how it turns out soon.